How you doing? Good evening, and it's a lovely evening where we are exploring some interesting subjects tonight. And my guest is a lady who has been through an interesting story that we will be bringing on board shortly. But first, I just want to explore the subject in a bit. If you checked out the post that I sent earlier in the morning, I was talking about the emotions that we convey in these times, emotions of stress, overwhelm, and all that. And at times, it brings out the lower side of our productivity or our performance, and we want to dive in the room that can help us make sense of it all. How can we overcome stress? How can we overcome burnout? How can we overcome the aspect of just being at our low? Hi, Monfik. Nice to see
Hi.
you. Good
Hi, good
evening.
evening. Hope you can
Very
hear me
well.
clearly.
Yeah, you're loud and clear and you're good. I'm just trying to create a bit of a backstory to what we're discussing this evening. And this speaks to different people having different aspects of their lives out of center. They find themselves in a situation where they are trying to juggle many balls together and they don't know if they are doing it right because it seems as if the more they try to get everything in place, something just seems to be dropping at some point. And it's not meant to be that way. I mean, there is a way out. I believe if we know better, we can do better. And if we put things in the right perspective, applying the right tools or techniques, especially from those that have been on that path before, you can condense your decades into days. You can condense your months into minutes. You can learn at the same time that those that have actually spent the time in experiencing those events firsthand have learned and do better and get the best out of your life. And that is the reason why you're here this evening. My guest tonight, we're dealing with, her name is Momfik Ryan Abu. She's a friend of mine that we met sometime earlier this year and just shortly before she launched this book. And I believe it's a good time to have this kind of conversation without saying much about yourself because I believe you are the one in the best position to tell your story and tell it in all its flying glory. Tell us, why should we be listening to you this evening? Tell us your story and how it applies to this concept of balancing or harmonizing life.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here, and thank you, Dakbo, um, for giving me this opportunity to share the insights of what we are talking about this evening. Really,
Mm,
anyway, for me, it's been a journey of trying to juggle all the moving parts of my life as a mother, as a wife, as a somebody in a very thriving banking career. It was really tasking to be able to navigate all the different aspects of my life without sinking, So um, I started my first job when my firstborn was 2 weeks old. That's 22, almost 23 years ago. And
mm,
I didn't qualify for maternity because it was the first job. I had never worked before. I just finished youth service. I was only 24 years old with a newborn, and
mm,
I started this demanding banking career with so much to contend with in terms of the environment of the work and everything in between. And when I
mm,
was 19, I lost my mother. And as a result of that, I was like a mother figure to my young siblings as the
yeah.
oldest myself. So the
Mm,
demands were the burden of being the oldest were already weighing on my shoulders. Now the burden of being a new mom in a new career was also weighing on my shoulders. So we all find ourselves in these difficult situations where the moving parts of our life are always conflicting to
mm,
figure out, okay, now I have this job, I have to prove myself. But my baby needs me, my husband needs me, you know. I also
Mm.
have other people that need my attention, and I also need to create time for myself.
Yourself.
So how do I,
Absolutely.
yes, how do I navigate all these different aspects of my life and still get
Mm.
to the height of my career? And 5 years into that career, I was made a manager, and I
Mm.
was a manager for more than, I worked there for 13 years. I think 5 years of that time I was a manager of that 13 years. And managing men that were older than me even. How did that young girl of 24 get to that level at such a short time?
Mm.
There is a formula to use, because we can always blame the economy, we can always blame the stress in our environment, we can always blame the fact that nothing works in Nigeria, of course.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, the recurring decimal in every situation you face in life, whether good or bad, is you. The one
Okay.
recurring thing that is happening in every situation in your life, whether good or bad, is you. So sometimes, while we cannot control what happens to
Mm.
us, we will need to learn, we will need to compel ourselves to learn how we can control how we react to
Okay.
those things that are happening to us.
Mm.
So I've been in so many boardrooms, I've also been in so many bustling households, in my own bustling households,
I
raising
can
6 children and
imagine.
thriving
I
in the
can
banking
imagine.
career,
Mm.
despite all the moving parts of my life, and not sink.
Mm.
So that's what gives me a bit of authority and insight to be able to share everything that I put in this book, The Life Sync Blueprint, because I watched a lot of women sink, a lot of men sink, a lot of women had miscarriages. They start the job, miscarriage after miscarriage, because the stress is too much. You know, a lot of women, when we start I went for a seminar the other day. I was watching like the director, I think, of Transcorp.
Okay.
I've forgotten her name. Anyway, she's a lady. So she's talking about in the corporate world when we
Pastor
start working.
Olushola.
No, she's the. How can I forget her name? And we were already on Instagram. I would have just gone to check,
It's
but
all
we can fact
good.
check that one
Yeah.
later. She said a lot of women start jobs.
Mm.
When you start the hiring level, the hiring process, entry level, many women are there. But by the time you see 5 years into the career, different
Mm.
positions,
Would
it's
have
only
dropped
men.
off.
It's only men.
Wow.
We just kind of go into, like, we get lost in the maze
Of
of the
life.
madness of
Mm.
corporate life, and also in the madness of business and building your business.
Mm.
And really navigating all the things that come with that. So it is something I learned to master out of compulsion because of the circumstance I found myself. Some women have the privilege of, oh, mommy, come and stay with me. I have a newborn. And the mommy will come and do a mugwo for a few months. And anytime you
Absolutely.
move her, they are traveling, they are doing one business. Say, mommy, come and stay. I didn't
Mm.
have such privileges. I didn't have it. In fact, when I was pregnant with my third child, my sister called me that she's pregnant for the first time. And I hadn't told her I was pregnant with my third child. Then she's like, okay, she wants me to come and stay with her. And because it's me that will
Wow.
now do the omugo. Then when
Exactly.
I tell her I'm pregnant, she was like, oh my God, like, she was happy for me, but she was also very, very
I
overwhelmed.
can
Like, how would
imagine.
you know,
I can
because she is
imagine.
working. She lives in the UK.
Mm.
She works. She has planned herself. Momfi could stay with me, then I'll be able
Mm.
to do this and that. And all of those plans fell out the window. But
Mm.
we still figured out how to do this life sync that we are
Mm.
trying to figure out today.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, I hear you and I understand your story, and I'm asking myself, as much as I hear you mention that at some point you noticed that men also
Yeah.
sink. Is this blueprint majorly for women, or are women the more affected gender in this spectrum of life where people just get sucked into the vortex of corporate activity and they just drift out of the equation when it comes to rising up the ladder? What do you speak to the gender balance of this whole situation?
Wow. Very powerful question. When you write a book, this is my third book in the real sense. I've co-authored two books already. One went on to become a bestseller in Canada. It was a book about resilience.
Okay.
And I just co-authored the second book in New York. And I say that because people remind me that, okay, you've done this before, but this is the one you are doing all on your own by yourself,
Okay.
right? So now, when you write a book as a writer, you have an intention. I wrote this book as a love letter to those career women that they look good outside. We look so beautiful outside. We have our cars, we are lovely
Catching hell
businesses,
inside.
we carry our lovely handbags, but we are dying inside. A lot of them, the relationships are so out of place in the home. They are not connected to their children. They get home every day, the children are asleep. Sometimes the children don't even listen to them because it's like, mommy is not even around, you know. What does she have to say? Does
Lost
she even know what
connection.
I've been going through, you know? So I wrote this as a love letter to them, really. But I also wrote it for the men as well. Because I remember one night I closed at 11 o'clock. My baby was 6 months old, 11 p.m.
Wow.
Because at that time, I was the person that was in charge of everything was kind of manual then. I'm talking 2001. So I was in charge of the control room. Those days when you come into the bank, you print the reports manually for the previous day's transactions. There's a whole lot of sheets of paper, wide sheets like this that
Yeah.
go, keep
That
rolling,
forms
rolling.
zigzag.
Yes, and both sides and so many figures.
Those
I don't know
dot
how the
matrix
manager did those
printers.
things.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, so you print a lot of that, then you now roll it and go give the manager when he arrives at work. So you have to be that control room, they guide it like the votes, you
Honestly,
know?
yeah.
Yes, because all the data of all the financial things you've been
Sensitive
doing for the entire
transactions.
bank is warehoused there. So at some point, I was the one opening that door, and I was the one in the key of that door was in my custody. So you are the first person to come to work, and you are the last person to close every single day. And when it's month end, it's bloody, is horrible. It's horrible.
Crazy.
Month end is always
Crazy.
horrible. We are
Yeah.
trying to put in the transactions for that month and make sure we are able to meet up our targets, and everything is squeezed in on the last day of the month, you know. So we close very, very late at month end. So that particular day, 11 p.m. is when I got home. I can't forget when I entered our small flat and I rang the doorbell. I knocked on the door, and I didn't have a house up most of these times too, which is another story on its own. So I knocked the door for several times, and my husband woke up. He carried our baby, like that was 3, 4 months old, on his shoulder, and told me welcome. I said, come inside, come inside. You know, lack of safety too is also an issue. It's like, oh, my wife is home. Quickly, quickly. He locked
Come
the
in, let's
door
lock up.
and he's
Yeah.
patting the baby and he's like, go and sleep, go and sleep. You know. So I also talk to men also that you know the people I work best with in the bank then fortunately for me were men actually. So they will share with me their burden. The thing about
Yeah.
men is that they are not allowed to share as much as we
Exactly.
women do. We naturally are
Exactly.
vulnerable as women when we find a safe space amongst other women or even other men to
To
share our
vent.
pain. But
Yeah.
men are raised to be like, you are strong, you are not supposed to
Contain it.
complain.
Suck it up.
You have it,
Yeah.
you know. So while I wrote this book as a love letter to women, the thing about me that the thing that helped me to validate myself enough to go to a publisher and publish this book was the reviews I actually got from men,
Really?
how it resonated with them as well,
Okay.
you know, how they kind of saw a lot of they saw a lot of things that helped them to like, oh, I can do this, I can thrive, I'm not going to be held back anymore by XYZ. I can do this, I can thrive, and I can ascend to the top of my career no matter what. You understand? It's easier for men to like ascend because men are like, they come out comfortable, they do everything they need to do, they don't second guess themselves like we women do, they don't have imposter syndrome like we women do. But the burden of balance lies more on women because our work is multifaceted. We have to be, we are mommies, we are aunties, we are friends, we are the ones, we are the first lens our children used to see the world. And we have this demanding career or this demanding business, and we're trying to juggle. We don't want to feel guilty. The mom guilt is real. You get to the office, you're like, oh, what didn't I do? Oh, I didn't forget. I forgot to pack the lunch. I forgot.
Mm.
You know, the man doesn't need to worry about that. He might even send the house help to do that, even if he's a single dad, you know. But he
Right.
still has some things that worry him because I have brothers. I have two brothers and I have sons. I have four sons and two girls. So I know there's a lot of things that will burden them too that they cannot voice out. So I
Okay.
realized that while this book will really, really help women, it will also really help men as well.
Okay, interesting. At least we've been able to manage the target of this book. And I'm hoping that it is not an afterthought for them because you said it
No.
was at the point of publishing that you discovered the feedback that men were also in that space. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of this elephant in the room,
Yeah.
sinking,
Yeah.
Sinking, which
Yeah.
I mean, I like the play of words as you used it in the analogy of your text. How
Yeah.
how would you, let's do a bit of a problem show here. How would
Okay.
you speak to this problem in the way that both genders can resonate? Because
Mm.
if you're speaking, and I understand you're speaking from your story and
Mm-hmm.
your journey, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking at it only from the prism of your gender, you might cut off some
Yeah.
audience. But I want you to look at it from the balanced feedback that you have now. That
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean to think
Yeah.
as a lady in the corporate world, and what does it mean to think as a man in the corporate world, and how, where are the similarities, where are the intersection in the challenges that both genders face before we now go into preferring solutions.
Okay. Fantastic. For the male, let me start with the male first. The man is the mindset of a man usually is I'm the provider, I'm the breadwinner, I have to put food on the table. You know, some men lose sight of connection with their children because they are pursuing their careers too much. Like, not too
Mm.
much, they just need to get to the top. Most of the men are the ones in the management positions. Let's call it spade is spade. That's what it is. That's still what it is till now.
Mhm.
You know, so they get there faster than us women,
Okay.
naturally. But when they sink, it's now a subconscious thing. For a man that is looking for connection with his children, for a man that wants to build a good relationship with the spouse, you understand, and make
Mm-hmm.
her feel loved, wanted, and supported.
Mm.
Subconsciously, his life is sinking. He needs to
Okay.
sink it. When his life is sinking, SINK, he needs to learn to create a life sink, to integrate.
Mm.
Some men are too dogged, looking, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get to this position. Most men don't even pause to celebrate the wins. They're like, I've gotten to this position, let's get to the next one, it's on to the next one, on to the next one. Because why? The demands are high, there's school fees to be paid,
No time to
there's food to
celebrate.
put on the table. Yes. There's food to put on the table and all the
Mm.
things. But
Mm.
subconsciously, you are losing connection with your spouse, your
Okay.
family. You are short tempered. You are shouting all the time. You don't see your wife. She doesn't feel seen. She just feels like one of the children sometimes. You understand?
Mm.
So that is a subconscious thing for the man. He has to come to a point where he's being intentional to realize he's losing steam, he's losing track of certain things. Most
Mm.
men catch up to their reality as parents when children are teenagers or when they are entering university. That's
Mm.
when they're like, this boy don't grow. Then they'll start saying things like
Trying to
asking the child
play catch up.
something. They're asking the child something. The child like, daddy, I'm 15 now. Like, this is something maybe you should have
Duh.
asked me 5 years ago. Do you get?
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, it happened because they are just so zoned into, trying to achieve because of the
Mm.
monetary responsibility that has fallen on the man over time. But we know
Mm.
now that women support in a great way, and sometimes women even bear 50% or even more than the men
Mm.
bear. But
Mm.
unlike the man that can just wake up and he has food prepared for him, he carries his suitcase, he leaves. The woman will wake up hours early to make sure that that man has that food, the children are fed, The children's
Yeah.
uniform, doesn't know where the uniform is, doesn't even know where the laundry machine is in the house, or when did they iron clothes last. He doesn't know all that.
Mm.
We have to figure out all that and make sure the house is clean before we leave. I know sometimes I could get home before my husband, after my husband, but he will still be waiting because he needs his dinner.
Mm.
You understand? So most of the time, we have that thing as women that is so much. Sometimes you get back from the work, you get into the room with your suit. I have a colleague that told me, and it has happened to me. I was like, it happened to me too. He said she came back. She just lay down on the bed because she still needed to get the kids fed. She still needed to check whether her husband was fed and everything. And the shouting that her boss had shouted at her that day, she was just so overwhelmed and frustrated. She just said, let me just sit down on the bed and just rest my head small. She entered the house, only to see herself in the morning with makeup on and that same suit on
Exactly
her
the way
back.
she slumped on the bed. Wow.
It happens
Wow.
to us all the time, you know.
Wow.
It happens to us all the time. But now, if you want to get into immersive parenting, when you
Mm-hmm.
really look at the fact that you cannot allow society to raise your child, in those days, the man could afford to say,
And trust
those
the
days,
community to help.
when we were small, I am a child of the 70s, late 70s, I'm 47
Mm.
now. When we
Mm.
were small in the 80s and 90s, our neighbor could even beat us for our parents. Like, your
Yeah.
child was behaving on the street, they will beat. This society, the
Mm-hmm.
environment, the community will raise your child for you. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now, every little thing about the child, it is you, and it is you. Then
Mm.
all the distractions this child is facing every day, this social media of a thing, this
Yeah.
television, this, all the things, all the internet, so many dangers and so many things. So men now have to wake up to this reality that you can't leave it for only your women. In African tradition, those days, they'll say, when, when a child is good, it's for all of us. When the child is bad, they'll now say, come and see your picking. They will now call the woman out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's
Absolutely.
really for all of us. So if
Mm.
a man will affect, it affects him. It's thinking subconsciously. Most
Mm.
men are so distant from their children. So come and talk to your son. No, I've been telling him, come and talk to your son, because they didn't develop the connection when it mattered most.
Mm.
There is no trust. Most of the men, is when it's time to discipline, they will now come. But how many times had you guided the child before the time? How
Mm.
many times. So it's something that the men need to wake up to, that reality. So the men that noticed it are those discerning men that I gave to read the book, that are like, Monfik, you're telling me something with this thing. Oh, hey,
Exactly.
yeah. But I can
Okay.
only speak for a female point of view because that's what I know best. But as a
Mm-hmm.
married woman of almost 24 years old, I also know both sides to a very large
Okay.
extent. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, speaking of the issue on ground, and this is the part where I try to introduce your blueprint into the mix. At what point did you come to yourself to say, I think I just got out of the woods and I think I should leave a blueprint behind? What was that epiphany for you before
Yeah.
you said to yourself, what I went through, someone needs a manual for this journey and I
Yeah.
should at least leave something behind?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about that.
Like, yeah. So for me, your questions are so interesting, by the way, Doctor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Um, so what I would say to that is, for me, it took me, because I used to wear, one of my favorite songs of all time is Alicia Keys' Superwoman.
Superwoman, I can
Not
imagine.
anymore. Not anymore. But
Okay.
before, it used to be. And the best line of the song that I liked was, even when I'm a mess, I will put
Yeah.
on my best with an
Best
S on my chest.
on
Oh,
my
yes,
chest.
I'm a superwoman.
Yeah.
That was me before. Before,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
it took me, like, I think I was nearing 40 when I had my first meltdown and
Okay.
real depression, that it dawned on me that something's got to give. I need
Okay.
a different formula. I need something else. Otherwise, this sinking, I will not be able to, I will drown. I will not only sink, I will drown. And when somebody drowned, they could die. I didn't want to die and leave my children. My mother died and left us. Part of the reason, high blood pressure, sinking, challenges, and all. Only 37 years old, and she left this world. So that trauma alone was always haunting me. When I know when I was nearing that age is when this blueprint came to me, because
Okay.
I was so scared of dying young as well. I was taking on too much. I realized that the career was weighing me down. The demands of motherhood was weighing me down. I wasn't, I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to delegate. I feel like I will do everything myself. That's when it will be done well. If I don't do it myself, it's not going to be okay. I must cook all the soup myself. I'll wash all the clothes. I will sweep all the ground. House help. The first thing I used to tell house help when they come, because most of the house help, they will just come short time, they will leave. I will tell them, look, you see this thing you are doing, I can do it better than you. Like, it used to be a pride for me. Like, I used to feel when they know I can do it better than them, it will make them double up, to do
That
the
was the
work. But
exact
it made me
opposite.
work more. Yeah, it was the
Exactly.
opposite, apart from the fact that they now will just be, once they collect salary or once it's Christmas time, you'll be changing house up like you change clothes, like you go to the market. And it's not good for your children, too. That's when the realization, I had a burnout. I just woke up, I just started weeping. I just started weeping. I didn't know why. For days, for days,
Wow. Wow.
it was hell. Like, it was hell. I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out myself and realize that if this cup is full, I have more to pour to give someone else than if this cup is empty.
If you've got nothing
Like, I
to
have
give,
nothing left to
yeah,
give. Then I had
yeah,
nothing left to give.
yeah.
Nothing left. It was like a climax of so many things that happened now. That morphed into something
As a
really,
tipping
really
point.
huge and a tipping point, and I just kind of
Wow.
collapsed. And I
Wow.
knew when I saw so many people collapse like that and resign. So it now gave me more discernment. When I come to work in the morning, I see a subordinate looking stressed. I now like show so much empathy. I now made people feel like the workplace is not a place to just come and be all serious. We are human beings. We are not
Is that a
furnitures. You
life?
understand? You have a life. You understand? I had to send some people home. I'm like, you are not in the headspace to do this work. This is a bank. By the time you lose money now, the bank will even sack you.
To come after you.
You
Exactly.
understand? Yeah. So I will send people home and say, take that day off. You need that day, because what happened to me, I realized that I don't want it to happen to my worst enemy. So it's because of it that helped me to change that thing. And it was like 3 years after my father passed away. No, it was over 10 years after my father passed away. But it's when my father passed away that I started coaching and training. So when you do coaching and training, I feel that is the best thing in the world. It's like the best career for people to pursue. Why I say so is that I may be biased, but why I say so is that scientifically, whatever you teach, you learn it twice. When you know
Correct.
something and you teach it to someone else, it reaffirms in your subconscious mind. So you have an opportunity to activate it in your own life every single day, because
Exactly.
you get the opportunity to teach other people. So my father, when I was 15 years old, him and my mom told me to write GCE exam. They wanted to see if I could pass it before my work time, before I would do SSCE, just to have a sense of, can she do well in SSC, so she's not repeating after
Exactly.
SSCE, yeah, or writing jam or so many times. So I wrote my work and I made 5 papers. They were so happy. So he got me a copy of his book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Wow.
And
Classic.
that's what reinforced, that's where my love for personal development and improving yourself started from, working on my mind. So when I had that meltdown, I knew my mind, the body keeps score. No matter how we try to push ourselves beyond our limit. Yeah. I have my copy somewhere. No matter, sorry. I also have to display my copy.
Yeah,
No matter.
let's brag about it. This
Yes.
is
So,
2003, so this is
oh my
barely
God.
20,
Oh,
20,
I don't know when it
21
was
years
my.
old now.
Oh, this one. Okay, in 1992 is when my daddy gave me
Okay,
coffee.
nice one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a transformational book. I
Yeah,
just
it's
want to
a
quickly get
transformation.
to something
Yeah.
briefly.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, you hit rock bottom, yeah, and you said to
Yes.
yourself, the only way you can go from here is up.
Yes.
How did you get help?
Yeah.
How did you find your way up? Because when people listen to stuff like this, that oh, there is a coach out there, he knows the way, she knows the way, they always look at coaches like superhumans that they don't feel the problems that the regular people feel, or they have not been through that road before. All they do is just back out orders, lay out frameworks and blueprints, and just say, just do this and you'll be fine. That everything is all nice and dandy. But you and I both know that that is not the case.
Yes. It's not.
Coaches have got battle scars as well. When you hit rock bottom, how did you get that help? Who drew you up? Who laid the path for you to come out of overwhelm, from stress, from burnout, and showed you the way that you are now paying forward today?
Yeah. I had to get a coach. I had to work with my own coach. I tell my students and my clients that the best coach always has coaches. I have like two or three coaches most of the time at any given period, depending on the goal that I'm trying to pursue in the
Mm,
particular aspect of my life. I had to get a coach and I had to get a mentor. I had to go to people to like tell them, because I used to always have older ladies that I wanted to be my friends. Like I would be
mm,
forcing them, forcing the friendship by force by fire self.
absolutely.
Because I'm like, I don't have a mother. I need to see where these women that have gone past the stage I'm in now as a parent, how they
How did
face,
they find
how
it?
they, yes. So I'm always seeking mentors. I
Mm,
made mentors out of people that didn't know they could be mentors. I made them
interesting.
mentors by force because I hired them as my mentor unofficially. They now saw the skills they had, knowing how what they said to me helped me to grow.
Mm,
Now they became mentors themselves as a result, and I still have those people.
mm,
Every single day I do an audit for myself. What have I done today? The goals I wanted to achieve today, did I achieve them? you
mm,
know then most especially what I do so much, and which I encourage everybody to do, male or female, is celebrating your wins. When we
right.
are overwhelmed and we are frustrated, it's not because we have failed, it's not because there's something wrong with us. It's just because most of the time we've beaten more than we can chew in terms
Mm,
of responsibility
mm,
and
mm,
obligations and
So
challenges that
look
we
at the
have
sunny side
faced.
of life.
Yes. So when
Mm,
you are able to have that habit where you celebrate yourself and you celebrate your wins, even if it's a process win, because one goal you have a goal for a PhD, that's not a day. But you submitted
mm-hmm,
one assignment today.
mm-hmm,
Celebrate that.
mm,
You attended a lecture today.
mm.
Celebrate that. That's an accomplishment in of itself.
Taking it
You
one win at a time.
Yes, one win. I got a coach. I read a ton of books, a ton of personal development books. I read so much. I read. I'm constantly reading every
Mm,
single day. I don't have time to read so much when I carry my book these days because my life is full. So audiobook is my friend. Audible is
yeah,
my friend. I'm
yeah.
listening to my favorite books. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. I'm doing every task and I'm listening.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
I always tell people also what helped me really. Another key thing that helped me, which a lot of people do not know the importance of, is the power of self awareness, and I talk about that a lot in the
That's it.
book.
That's it.
The
That's it.
power of self
Okay.
awareness.
If you don't mind me jumping in here, now that you've started jumping into some things that resonate with me, maybe this is the part where we begin to unpack the solutions. And if you
Okay.
see the process of the conversation thus far, we've been trying to establish why that problem is valid, and why that problem is not exclusive to some people,
Yeah.
and why it is a common problem.
Yeah.
You are either getting into the wave or just coming out of the wave, or you are in the middle of the wave right now. So maybe this is the time where you begin to unpack for us, at least the bit that you can share with us in this conversation. What is the process of sinking? Because I can see that you've described your way out as sinking rather than sinking. And
Yes.
I like the play of words.
Yeah.
Maybe you can now begin to take us out of the woods through your own journey, because I can imagine with all that you've invested in resources, hiring coaches and mentors and stuff, you're loaded. You've got stuff to share.
Yeah.
Take it away, please.
Okay. So the process of sinking versus the process of the daily process we all do is we are sinking,
Mm.
but we don't actually
Going
know
down.
that we are sinking. We are going down. We
Mm.
are going down. We have too many obligations we are carrying, not because we want to carry them, but because life happens and we need to carry them.
Mm.
The thing about sometimes when I see young parents and they have newborns, and now that I have young adults and teenagers, I tell them, they're like, this child is too stubborn, this diapers is expensive. I'll just be smiling. I'll say, have you paid university school fees?
Exactly.
Have you paid university school fees? And it gets our challenges when it comes, it's like this, then it just expands and it keeps widening and goes like that.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we need to learn how to be intentional about how we live our lives so
Okay.
that we are not sinking.
Mm.
And so the process of sinking, what that does is that the first thing for you to realize, the subtitle of my book is Lifesaving Blueprint: Practical Principles to Overcome the Burden of
Balance.
Balance. Right? The burden of balance. Emphasis on that. Because what we were told is that when you are sinking, you just have to have work-life balance. You have work-life balance like this to balance itself, everything will be fine.
Equal distribution of energy. Is
But
that
it's not
possible?
true. It's
Is that practicable?
impossible. It's
Mm-hmm.
not practicable. It's
Mm.
impossible. So you need to sync instead. When you sync, it's now an integration,
Okay.
because you cannot separate your work and your life, because your work is in your life and your life is in your work. But you
Absolutely.
can learn to integrate. That realization for me was an aha moment.
Mm.
Because the day of my meltdown and subsequent days, it was mom guilt, among so many other things, that was drowning me, making me sink. I've
Mm.
missed so many PTAs. My children are not doing well at school. I don't even know what they are doing for their assignments.
Mm.
I come back, they are asleep,
Mm.
you know? And I had this boss that was really on my neck, literally like
Mm.
on
As
my neck,
always.
on
Mm.
my neck. So what I learned to do now, my boss was, our children were in the same school as my children and in the
Okay.
same class.
Wow.
She doesn't do school run. She has a driver for everything. I didn't have a driver. So now I'll say I'm going into the restroom, then I'll put my handbag on my desk.
To show presence.
Then I've carried my car key. I've gone to pick my child from school. Sometimes I'll get to her school, I'll get to the school, I'll see her driver passing one side, I'll pass through the back. Sometimes I'll find myself ducking behind my car like a criminal that stole something, so
Wow.
that her driver will not see me, not to go report me in the office. But
Mm.
everybody thinks I'm in the canteen, or I walk down the road to buy something, or probably I'm in the restroom. She'll be back in 30 minutes, you know?
How do they expect your child to be picked up from school? Nobody's business.
Nobody's business. So I will go,
Mm.
I'll pick my child from school. I will get home. Usually it coincides with afternoon prayers. I'm a Muslim. I will now do my prayers. I feel that it's a good example to show the child how important it is that mom is not too
To
busy
make
to
time for
pray.
what is
Mom
important.
is not
Yeah.
too busy to pick me from school. The journey, though very short journey from school to the house, we are talking about how the school was. They are telling me about the assignments. They are telling me about everything. I tell you, when I started doing that, first of all, it was one time a week. Then I forced myself twice a week. Before I knew, three
Mm.
times a week was my standard. And the days I do 4 or 5 times a week, oh my God, I can go and kill cow and celebrate. It was
Wow.
like my therapy. When
Mm.
those children will see me in the afternoon in that hot sun and just rush and hug me and mommy, welcome, mommy, 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 it was the best.
Mm.
It was the
Mm.
best. Even now in their 20s, they still remind me of those trips that I paid to them.
Mm.
Integration.
Okay.
Sometimes after school at 4 o'clock, I'm just giving you practical examples. After school, those days I'm not able to. I will now send a driver reluctantly. Then I'll say, don't drop them at home, bring them to the office. Now it's 4 o'clock, the bank has closed its doors to customers. We were
Mm.
just balancing books, we are writing our call memos, we are doing all our write-ups and doing all the things, all the KPIs that we are required to meet. We are sending reports. My children, most of the time, is screen doors, glass screens. They are in the next place where we usually keep customers, the waiting area.
Mm.
Sometimes there's computer there. It's in the office that most of my children learn to use computers for the first time. They are doing their assignments, they are
Interesting.
brought away from me. Then, of course,
Mm.
my colleagues are like, oh, it is your children, oh, they're so cute. They even feel so, they now become the center of attention. They now bring a lot of relief to us, downtime.
Absolutely.
Most
Yeah.
times everybody is so up in the air, so finicky, and so you don't even smile at your colleagues. Meanwhile, you spend the whole day, all your
Mm.
time with these colleagues, more
Mm.
than you spend with your families. It now gave
That's
us
right.
more humanity, now made us, so thinking. I have
Okay.
always integrated going forward since I had that realization, and shortly before that time, I
Mm.
think anytime thinking is really primarily integration and creating a synchronicity between your work and your family life. How to
Mm.
synchronize everything. In I think chapter 6, I looked at it. I look at life sync like creating an orchestra.
Okay.
I've never been like coordinated an
Classical
orchestra,
music.
but I know I
Yeah.
love music naturally. Like most people, I find it soothing. Some kind of music. When you're creating an orchestra, every sound there is doing its own thing. There is a
Absolutely.
reason for every sound, every instrument, and every
Mm.
player has its role. And you can't say you remove this person. No, the more you put, the more melodious
Mm-hmm.
the music is.
Mm-hmm.
Make your life more melodious. Make it, in the afternoon, just take your wife out to lunch. It's just 30 minutes.
Mm.
Sometimes you are in that office doing absolutely nothing. You are bantering with your colleagues for that same 30 minutes. You know? So
Right.
being your life being at sync is integration, synchronicity,
Mm.
time management, knowing that time is the most valuable resource. Chapter 5 is about time, and
Mm.
that's one of my favorite
Mm. Mm.
that's one of my
Mm.
favorite chapters. You can either do you mind if I read?
Please share with
Awesome.
us.
Yes, awesome. I would like to read about that one, that chapter 5, and just do a short reading about chapter 5. Okay, so
Okay.
chapter 5, taming the time based,
Okay.
prioritization and the art of saying no. They said, in the race to complete tasks and meet responsibilities, life can feel like an endless sprint that leaves us no time to enjoy the things we love. Time management and prioritization are essential tools for achieving a healthy synchrony between work and
Mm.
personal life, but they can be challenging to master. In this chapter, we will explore practical principles for effectively prioritizing tasks and managing time, as well as setting boundaries and learning to say no when necessary. So, is
Mm.
time your friend or your enemy?
Interesting.
I begin this chapter with a question that has resonated through the ages, whispered by philosophers, lamented by lovers, and etched on the and etched on the faces of the overworked and underrested.
Mm.
Time. a relentless force, a relentless face, a relentless farce, a
Pass,
precious
yeah.
commodity, a cruel thief, can feel like both a friend and a foe in equal measure.
True.
Perhaps the answer lies not in its inherent nature, but in our interaction with it.
Exactly how we manage it.
Yes. When we
Mm.
perceive time as a tyrant, an ever shrinking hourglass measuring our every misstep, it becomes an enemy. Deadlines loom large like storm clouds.
Mm.
Schedule suffocates spontaneity, and
Mm.
the pressure to do it all leaves us gasping for air. But when we shift our perspective, time transforms. It
Mhm.
becomes the sculptor's clay, the painter's canvas, and the conductor's button.
Mm.
We are no longer slaves to its perpetual ticking, but co-creators with it, molding it to its own life sync symphony.
Nice. I love that. I love that. I love that. I don't want us to give too much away because the time is not also
Yes,
on our side.
yes,
Now, I hear you.
yeah.
Don't sink. Sink. In bringing the concept of sync to bear, all I've heard so far is you need to take your life to your work. Can you speak briefly on the part of taking your work to your life?
Mm,
You get the point I'm trying to make
yeah.
now, because it makes us look like the work is the master that must be worshipped. So
Mm,
life must conform to work.
mm,
But if we're trying to sync it, there should actually be a harmony
yes,
between the two. So
yes,
how does work acknowledge and respect life?
yeah,
How
yeah.
do you, so that they can, we're not preaching balance according to you, we're
No,
preaching
thank God.
harmony.
Mm,
Even Jeff Bezos is a proponent of harmony. He believes in work-life harmony, not work-life balance.
yeah.
But if we're talking about harmony, it's not so much of sharing equal, and if we're speaking of harmony, it's not balance where we are sharing the energy equally, but we are trying to make sure that there is mutual respect
Mm-hmm,
across the board. So,
mm-hmm.
how do you speak to the part where work respects life?
Yes. Work has to respect life in a lot of ways because we can also, thank God for 2020. People now learn how to really integrate their work into their life when it comes to the home life
Mm-hmm,
itself. This my
mm-hmm,
office space is just a small space in my home. I
mm,
have an office in VI. I go there when it's absolutely necessary. I need the conference room for a meeting. I'm doing classes.
mm,
But I carry my work is here. The discipline of me being in the kitchen for 5 minutes, 20 minutes, and still come here to be here for 20 minutes as well. And finished cooking yesterday. I was working here. I walked, I went into the kitchen, I worked here, I cooked stew, I cooked granite soup. I came back. I'm still working here. I'm writing. I'm talking to
mm,
my personal assistant. This afternoon, I said quality time with the children. I'm playing Ludo with my young adult children, one of my favorite games. So my personal assistant calls. We pause the Ludo. I attend to that. We take some time with that. I now notice you posted what you posted. I posted that. My work is ingrained in my personal life. I know when to close the gates and I know when to open them. For
mm,
example, there are boundaries. There are places that I won't take my work into, like the bedroom or certain spaces in the house. But I just feel it shows my children. I'm so grateful to God that I got to publish this book because I've been talking about it for 7 years. I started it 7 years ago.
mm.
It's been a work
Okay.
in progress. So seeing them witness it, they were one of the first reviewers of the book too. and their young friends in their 20s are all buying the book on Amazon and everywhere. Especially they're all
Exactly. The
scrolling
earlier,
after
the better.
career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've constantly tried since I started that school run phenomenon and everything. It just grew from there. You understand? So while they're in my office, even Saturday, you know, when they'll call you in the work on Saturday, they'll say there's meeting, there's one thing. If it's not a
Mm-hmm.
training,
Something came up.
if not a training, Monfig never works alone. Monfig has she has little people that she carries around anywhere she goes. They know me. On my table, I have all the little people pictures. Also to push away some men that have terrible intentions when they
Mm.
come to officers of the bank sometimes, you know, just having their pictures really shows this anybody these are the most important thing. I had a mantra: God first,
Mm.
family second, career third. It's a borrowed mantra from my networking days as a Mary Kay beauty consultant. That was Mary
Mm.
Kay's mantra: God first, family second, career third. So for me, it's the family. If I'm not optimizing myself as a mother,
Mm.
I can't be a good team leader. If I'm not
Okay.
teaching my children the right values, I cannot guide my subordinates to adopt certain principles the bank wants us to
Mm.
adopt. I will not be able to. You understand? So
Mm.
for me, it was most of the lessons from home that made me thrive at work, and some of the lessons at work that made me thrive at home, and vice versa. So I always make sure for the work is at home. I let people know, like my husband, he works with his phone, he's always on his phone, he's working, he's doing a lot of things. And he's still, okay, the child will now come, I need this, I need that, daddy, or anything.
Right.
And he can still, like, you know, you need to look, you know, the brain cannot
Integrate it.
multitask, but the brain can code switch.
Yeah.
You just switch. We multitask the brain and overwhelm it. That's what causes burnout. But when you sync
Mm.
your life, you are able to now code switch with your brain. You have to have a plan anyway.
You
Every
toggle.
day, my
Mm.
plan has my life, my personal, my work, my health, my well-being, all in one
Mm.
plan for the day. You understand? Tomorrow, I'll have 10 things I want to do. Two is probably personal. Three is probably
Mm.
personal. The other seven things are for work. Then I get to do it all, and I don't feel like I've left. Some of us will have doctor's appointments and we are working. We will not attend because why? We need to send a
Mm.
report.
Mm.
You understand? The
Mm.
manager will just be on you and all of the things, you know. So if you learn to integrate it, I feel it will really help.
Okay.
Integration is small, is one word, but we have 10 chapters here showing you how to do it.
The
Yeah.
granular, exactly. And that's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
I want to speak to, we'll be wrapping up in a bit, but I want to speak to those set of people that maybe have little idea what we're talking about. Because right now, to a large extent, we're speaking to those who are in the eye of the storm, or who
Yes.
or who are just barely making their way out of the storm. But there are those young ends that they think they can wing it. They think common sense can fix it. They have no idea of the gravity of what we're talking
Yeah.
about because there is little on their plates as of today, and they just brace what life holds from that concept of we'll be fine. Last, we'll be all right. You know, all the Jersey lingo and all. And how do you address them without scaring them? How do you make them brace for the storm, more like a storm warning call? And in the same breath, let them know that they are covered.
I tell you, when I pray for my children to have to have good health, long life, success,
Mm,
I pray they have resilience.
resilience.
I pray they have
Mm,
resilience because it's resilience that will help us navigate every storm in our life. So, anybody that is listening, I want you to know as you get older, it gets tougher. As you get older, life gets harder.
mm,
You need to be ready. You need to have a resilient, like me, there are three principles my coaching service is built on. First, your mindset. And everything is built in this book, and all the principles surrounding these things is based on these three key principles. Key principles. One, your mindset. You know, I don't want them to be worried that as you get older, the different obligations of your life, the disorder, the disorganization, all the things, it becomes a melting point. It just becomes like a volcanic reaction that will
Don't
explode.
be ahead,
But
yeah.
please, they should not worry, because when you have the right mindset, it is the reset that you need for success. I sign out all my emails telling people, stay inspired always. Stay inspired always. Look for something to always inspire you.
Okay.
Life can be hard, but there's air outside. You are breathing air. Let that fresh breeze touching your face right now inspire you. Let
Right.
the sunlight that is bright right now inspire you. Let the smile
Right.
of a stranger inspire you. Stay
Right.
inspired always, because the right mindset is the reset that you need for success. So my first thing is always that mindset. Is the reset you need for everything. All of us have a mindset as we come into the world. We have that mindset. It's always subconscious. Then when somebody throws something at us that is out of our comfort zone,
Set
our
your
mindset will now
balance.
come. Then some people will now run, or some people will now face it.
Face it.
Have a mindset that you are ready to face the fear. You are ready to face the unknown. You are ready to face the difficulty by learning to reframe. You reframe it. Reframe any negative situation into a positive situation. You know, I said it at the beginning. We
Yeah, the
cannot
sunny
control what
side of
happens to
life.
us. Yes, but you can control how you react to what is happening to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
Absolutely.
one. The mindset, resilience. Be ready for anything. The body is built to handle hard things, but a lot of us like soft life too much. We like our comfort too much. We don't want to be inconvenienced. It's in the inconvenience you learn the hard lessons. It's in the failures you learn how to not to fail again. It's in the missteps you learn how to find that solution, so you can step up from that level to the next level. Then action. A lot of people, common sense is not always common practice. In the coaching space, I'm sure you've heard it a lot from some prospects. Oh, guy, I know this thing now. I've heard it now. You know, I've read that your book. You know, I saw that thing.
Many people know what to do,
They
but they
don't do
don't
it.
do what
They
they don't
don't
do
do it.
what they know.
They don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So common sense is not always common practice. I tell people action takers are money makers.
absolutely.
Action takers are change makers. So you need to learn to take that action. And the last thing I would add is not part of those three, but is ingrained inside, is self-leadership. Let's stop waiting for an external force to lead you to the point you need to get to circumvent or to cater or to overcome whatever you are trying to overcome in your life. Lead yourself first. Lead yourself first. If people have this orientation, they will have this, they say iron sharpens iron, they will have this kind of personality that is ready for
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely.
So if
There's
you can
something I
have,
want you to do for
yeah,
me quickly because we're running out of time.
yeah,
I want you to pick up your book because by now everybody should know that we're talking about a book. Yeah? Quickly go through the table of contents
okay,
and just gloss through the sections or chapters of what this blueprint promises. Then let us know how best to engage this book. Where
okay,
can we
right,
find it and all
yeah,
that? So that because there's so much that even an hour cannot do
no,
justice.
yeah,
And if you're telling me about what you've been able to come through in the past 20 years since you hit rock bottom till now, I mean, we just want to get a kind of
yeah.
synopsis of the thing and how to engage it.
Awesome. So the first chapter of the book talks about the work-life balance myth. We try to
Okay.
demystify work-life balance because we both agreed today that it doesn't work. You can't balance. So we try to demystify it so that we can introduce to you why life sync is better. Chapter 2 talks about introducing the life sync model. There is a model that the life sync operates with, and in different
Okay.
aspects of your life is in that model. So when you master that model, you'll now be able to look at those different aspects of your life. Then, when you look at the different aspects of your life, we move you to chapter 3 because it entails you understanding your own life sync requirements. Now, you are
Okay.
Dakbo, your life sync requirements are different from mine. But this book will guide you how to identify your life sync requirements. It will guide me, to guide any of
Okay.
your readers ready to get it. So they will understand the unique life link requirements. I will give a lot of examples. Bear in mind, this is a practical book, it's a self-help book. So every chapter has a call to action. Once you get this book, you get a workbook that I'm offering from now to the end of the month, absolutely free. But from next month, it goes to the, it goes to the normal price, 5,000 naira for the workbook. The book itself is 12.5. This is the hardback that we are looking at. The hardback, it's so beautiful, but it has limited
Yeah.
edition. We have the paperback right here, which is 12.5,
Okay.
right? They get that for 12.5, okay? So every chapter has that call to action. Then the workbook enables you to implement those call to actions, because when you start chapter 3,
Okay.
identifying your own life sync requirements, you realize you need to write it down. And we know this as coaches. Anything you
Absolutely.
write down, especially with your pen, there's a
The
47%
connection
chance that you are going to do it.
percent.
You are
Yeah. The
going to
connection to the
achieve it.
brain.
Yes. So you need to apply it. So chapter 4, you now look at the principles that you will use to sync your own life successfully.
Okay.
What are those principles you will use to sync your own life successfully? For example, if it's in your relationship with your spouse, you are always fighting about something, not you. I'm talking about a random person out there. They're always fighting. You now
Yeah.
realize, if I'm going to sink my life and I really want this marriage to last, it's not about thinking of divorce. It's about thinking, what are the things, what if I just call her in the middle of the day to ask her how her day is and just listen? I know I'm busy. I know I have 10 board meetings, but I went to pee. I was able to pee for like 5 minutes. I can call my
You
wife
made
for
time
5 minutes
for that.
and just
Exactly.
listen, and just say, honey, how was your day? And just listen. So what are the principles to sync your life successfully? It could be that small thing. Bear in mind, it's those little things that make the biggest difference in our lives at the end of the day. We think this life sync is one big thing. It's the little changes you make that will make your life sync so in such a beautiful harmony. You'll just be thriving. You understand? Chapter 5 is what we read earlier, taming the
The
time base. Because at the
time.
end of the
Time
day,
management.
most of the thing is all this, I'm too busy, I don't have time is not enough. But we cannot extend 24 hours that God has given us. We can only maximize it. How do we fully maximize it? Chapter 5 will show you how to do that successfully.
Okay.
Chapter 6, you now learn how to cultivate connection. Because if your life is going to really be at sync, you need to be connected. A lot of us are disconnected. This phone that was supposed to connect us, this social media, it has disconnected us more. People are having dinners, people are in the parlor together, and
Silos.
everybody is on their phone doing something. How do for your life to really be at sync, you need to feel connected to the people around you that you cherish,
True.
or the people you want to relate with. So how do you achieve this? Chapter 6 will show you. Chapter 7 will show you life sync in the digital age, because the disruptions and the distractions, they are too
It's
plenty.
crazy. It's crazy. It's
You will now
crazy
want to
out
do
there.
live sync. Your phone is pinging. So many messages. There's so many updates on Instagram. All the things on Instagram. We want to see those fashion for the women. We want to see. We want to see this. Even don't
Right.
listen to music too much, self, but just listen to. But you want to listen, but too much of everything is bad. Moderation is better. So how do you do life sync in the digital age? Everything about this book is intentionality. If you are not intentional, you will not be able to achieve it. Chapter 8 will show you my favorite, mindfulness and self-care. You know, so yeah, mindfulness and self-care. It's too late to talk about it, but I love
I
that.
know.
Anyway,
I know.
now chapter 9, how do you now take it? You know how you ask me all the questions, bringing it from work to home, carrying it from home to work. Now, leaders, management, and life sync friendly organizations. Lead
Mm.
and bring it to the workplace so that every and any person Can you still hear me? You froze for a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can. I think there was a change in
Yeah.
power, so the Wi-Fi tripped off, but I'm good.
Yeah. So every person in that organization shouldn't be afraid to practice life sync. How do the leaders in
Mm,
these organizations help us so that we can activate life sync in our work environment? So that it's not something you are
mm.
doing in hiding, like I used to duck behind the car for my manager's driver not to see me. It's
Bring
not something my
everything to
manager
the
will
open
even ask
so
me.
everybody can
Yeah, my
relate.
manager will even come and ask me, have you done this part of your life sync requirement today? Because I know
Mm,
it's a major requirement to have. Me, I've done my own. Or have you done your own? Okay, if you've done it, let's go into that meeting. Knowing that when you
exactly.
enter that meeting, you will come with your fullest self. You will bring your
Without
A
guilt.
game. Yeah, you bring your A game because you're not worried about some other areas in your life that have been left
Mm,
unattended because of that work you have to do. Then
absolutely.
finally, chapter 10, the life sync in chaotic times.
Like this.
Like this. Nigeria is always chaotic. How do you do life sync in
Mm,
chaotic times? Yeah. So the chapter covers so many things and shares so many
interesting.
principles that will help you to do this life sync successfully, regardless of your circumstance. That's why I said men will relate to this, women will relate to this, young
Mm,
adults will relate to this, anybody in university will relate
mm,
to this, because you are now in a situation where you are trying to balance different schedules. So many things are needing your attention. How do my son just graduated as an engineer, and I'm so proud, you know. But I know, we was just talking like 2 years ago, like, mommy, I don't know if I can make it. This course, I
I
don't know.
know. I
I don't
know.
know. So even the 16-year-old, my youngest is 16, she's like, mommy, I need to read this book. These assignments want to kill me.
Mm,
I need to
mm,
read this book. That time management part, I need to arrange it. So we look at it, we create a schedule. We do for each schedule, for each thing we're studying, what's your why? Why do you want to
exactly.
achieve this goal? What's your why? It needs to be clear. So that will drive you. Then when
Something
you
give you
achieve it, what's the
driving force.
reward? So each
Mm-hmm.
person has a different life sync requirement. How do you make it and merge it into a wholesome orchestra that is so melodic to the ears with a lot of harmony?
Mm,
So that's it. Yeah.
wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a banger. I dare say, and I salute you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you've done a very good job. I mean, all I can say is congratulations. Now,
Thank you.
tell us two things, yeah? One, how do we access this book?
Yeah.
Yeah? And two, for my people
Yeah.
that are joining via this platform,
Yeah.
you need
And
to
I thank you guys. So
give
many
you need to
people
give
there.
me yeah, you need to give me some sort of discount for my people
Yeah.
because I also want to
Yes.
make it accessible across the board. Then
Awesome.
one more thing that I want to ask, which I know it's just a launch, do you have plans to put it on audio? Because you also need to consider the age we are in. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you and I both share the common idea that we consume most of our books on audio right
Yeah.
now. If you see
Me
any
too.
of the books on my shelf, there will be books that are pretty much 15, 20 years old. It's
Mm.
been a while I bought book and hard copy. I still
Mm.
do, but they are few
Mm.
and far in between. Most of my books now are
Oh.
digital. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that something like this, even if it's a practical
Mm-hmm.
workbook, you can also create an audio version of it. So three
Yeah.
things. How can we get this book? What kind of discount can you sweeten the deal for my people? And
Awesome.
what are your plans for audio?
Okay. So, first of all, the book is 12,500. For your people, I can give them 10% off for the book, valid for the next from now till end of April. So I'll be
Okay,
asking you, have you told them, have you told your people, please? And then I'll send you a specific discount code to go to my website, www.lifesyncblueprint.com.
fantastic. Do you have
www.lifesync.
any of your staff that can put it on the group?
I forgot. I don't know if she's here or not. I've not
Okay,
even been
here's what
putting
we'll
on, but she's
do.
supposed to be
Once
here.
we're done with
Yeah.
this and I post it on, like, we'll put that comment,
Yeah.
we'll put the website as a comment so
Yeah.
that people can access it.
Awesome. So and it's also on my link in bio.
Okay,
I don't know
fantastic.
if I can pin. I can't pin anything because it's not my class. Okay, I can't actually pin it, but I'll put it in the chat just now.
Yeah, I've seen it, so I
www.
can pin. I
Awesome.
just did.
Awesome. LifeSyncBlueprint.com. When they go
Okay.
there, there's so many deals, even on top of this one I just gave you. If you
So
buy, because
she,
yeah, so many deals they will get there. In fact, and I'm adding more. I'm adding more. As I get
nice,
inspired, I add more. Merchandise is coming to get in there. So when you buy a book, you get
nice,
merch, you get a lot of
nice,
things.
nice, nice,
But for now,
lovely.
what we have is the workbook, and we have incentives for shipping. So right now, if you buy two
Yeah.
books, you're
Also
getting
mention that the workbook is free to the end of the
the
month. If
workbook
you get
is
the book,
free to the
you
end
get a
of
free
April. You get
workbook that
10%
goes with
off.
it.
People, beautiful people. Do you have a name you call your people? Some people will say this. I call my people trailblazers.
Thanks.
People,
They're
yeah.
just family to me. Coach
Family,
Tapo's
okay,
family.
family. Good evening, everyone. I've been talking to Dakwa. I should be talking to you guys. Go get the Life Sync Blueprint book today. And if you want to know more about it, you can follow my page at Ryan_inspires. I'll put it in the chat now. But when you go to the pinned link right there, www.lifesyncblueprints.com, you can get this book with a 10% discount. As long as you let Dakbo know, I will send the discount code. And I'll create it now and share with you between now and Monday and see how to put that unique discount code. So you can go back to the post and put an edit or maybe tell people that are sending inquiries to you on it. So you
Mm-hmm.
get a discount code 10% off. That's one. As you buy the book, you get a free workbook that is valued at 5,000 naira. So instead of paying 12,500, you get 10% off. Then you also save 5,000 naira from now to the end of the month. The deal is from now to the end of the month. That's basically like 2 weeks. So don't miss out this deal or you miss. Don't miss this deal or you miss out. That's number one. Another thing you get, you go to that website. This book is better you don't do it by yourself. It's always good when you are working to reinvent your life, when you are working to pivot, you are working to make some changes, you do it with people that you care about. So you buy this book, you buy for a friend. So both of you hold yourself accountable. If you buy two books, you get a third half off the price.
Oh
Then you
wow,
get a free
nice.
workbook for each person. Yeah, you get a free workbook for each person. That's the deal you get in the website, plus your 10% off special for you family members of Dakbo this evening. Okay, that's one deal. Deal two, you buy four books, you get the fifth one absolutely free. Then you get free shipping anywhere, plus your five workbooks absolutely
Nice,
free.
nice,
Yes. Then the
nice.
fourth deal is that you buy five books, you get the sixth one absolutely free. Then you get I need to go to the website and check. There are so many deals, so many deals. Just go
All
to
the
the
details
website.
are spelled out on the website.
Yes, everything is clearly spelled out on the website. You go to the website, go to my
Fantastic.
page, follow me at Ryan_inspires. You will see me scrolling on the website to tell you what and what is there. When you get to a
Exactly.
button, they call it awesome deals for you. Awesome
Okay.
deals for you. When you get to that button, awesome deals for you, click on it. You'll be seeing all these deals flipping, flipping. You see all the 5-star reviews. You see this book, you don't have my face in front of it, like some people want to put their face everywhere. These are
Mm.
all reviews, and these are, very short reviews. Then when you open the book, the first page is what you see people are saying. What are people saying about the book?
Mm.
Your guy Steve Harris is here. He reviewed the book, and so many other people. So you see, people are saying. Then I don't. It's not about me. It's about how to help you. This is
I
something we
mean,
are
we
all.
we've clearly spent
Yeah.
time to talk about the
Yeah.
value. So I
Audible.
believe for
Audible
whoever will be
is coming
watching,
on soon.
exactly, yeah, that's the
Audible by
question. Audible,
Audible by the end of the month. I'm going to studio by next week. I just found a studio and I'm going to record. I
fantastic,
think it will take me three
fantastic.
days. The book is on Kindle, the book is on Amazon, the book is on Kobo Books.
Trouble
What
as well.
else?
Okay.
I'm trying to get it on Roving Heights. I'm trying to also get it on Terra Culture. If you know anybody that can help me get the books on stores, you help me. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I have so many stock. Once you send me a DM, you come to my website. If the website is not working for any reason, I send you the bank account information. You still get all the deals,
Yeah,
whether you pay
and people
directly
you
to the
can
studio
reach
or the website.
monthly. on her handle. You can send her a
Right.
DM. She
Yeah.
responds to
I
her
respond.
DMs. So if you
Yeah.
have any information that we might have missed out in the course of this conversation,
Yeah.
she's accessible and she responds promptly. I want to say
Yes.
thank you very much
Thank you.
for sharing this with the world. Thank you for not keeping it to yourself, because this is not just you trying to scratch an itch or write a book, but this is you saying, I've been out of the storm and I have a manual that I want to leave behind. And this is something that everybody must get into this. For whatever is worth, I believe whatever amount that has been mentioned tonight with the deals that have been put on the table is worth the burden that this book will lift off your shoulders. So I want
Yes.
to encourage everybody to find the means to grab the deal, especially if you are a team lead. This is the opportunity to get bundle deals for your teams.
Yes.
Because if you help your team, you actually help
Yeah.
yourself. That is what I tell most of my
True.
clients.
True.
Yeah. And if you know, and I'm sure as a leader, you can spot that some of your team members that you know are very promising are in the eye of the storm right now and they need help. There might be help that you might not be able to provide, but you just have access to. This is your opportunity to
Yes.
throw in that lifeline and save that team member, save that friend, save that colleague, save that spouse, save that person that you know can come out of sinking and begin to sink life into the best tapestry that you can get out of it.
Yes.
And I want to say, for making this happen, thank you so much,
Thank
Monfik.
you.
It's been my pleasure having you on this
Oh,
platform to speak to lots of
thank,
people. And I wish you all the very best, all the
thank,
very, very best,
thank,
even in the promotion, the distribution, and sales of this book.
thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you
Any
so
final
much.
words you want to share with us before we
Yeah,
wrap it
I
up?
just want to tell you thank you for giving me the audience, and I want all your family here to rush to www.lifesyncblueprint.com and get these deals. Don't hesitate. Remember, use the right mindset and take action. Take action now. If anything we have said so far resonated, albeit small or big, it means that we are speaking to you. It means this book was created for you. So don't let hesitation or procrastination hold you back. Go to www.lifesyncblueprint.com and get this book for yourself today. Thank you for having
All right.
me.
You
So
heard
grateful.
it. So get
Thank you.
right
Don't
into
forget
it.
to add me as
Rush.
collaborator so that I can have this on my page too.
Definitely, I'll do that. As I publish, I will add you as collaborator.
Awesome.
So everybody, you know where to go. LifeSeekBlueprint.com. It is pinned here. We're going to put it in the comments once we upload for delayed broadcast as well.
Thank you.
So on that note, it is bye from me and have yourself a lovely weekend.
Have a lovely
Cheers.
weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.